All right.
What if somebody just couldn't interrupt the video?
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Okay, so this review is going to be a final exam review. So what you want to do is take the notes because you will be able to use these notes on your exam. Yes. This one looks pretty good. Got something to write with, and you got something to write with. Excellent. So the first thing we want to look at are a couple different types of data, okay? So there's two types of data that we have talked about. The first one is quantitative, and notice that I underlined quantity, and that denotes things that are expressed in numbers. So the quantity of something, the numbers. So that's how you'll be able to recognize. Want more paper? Okay.
These are the papers I use.
The other type is called qualitative. So the only difference there is going to be between the quan and the qual. And so qualitative is like quality. And those are items or categories, things that are expressed not in numbers. It could be names or colors or foods, whatever it is, types of cars. So you have quantitative expressed in numbers, qualitative expressed in qualities, types, or categories. So on your exam, there'll be a question similar to the example I'm about to show you now. The format of this is to go ahead and take your notes as I explain the whole thing, okay? So we have A, B, and C as an example. Now on your exam, there's going to be an A, B, and C, and then you have to decide for each of these, what are they? Okay, so let's look and see. For letter A, if you have a favorite type of food, would that be quantitative or qualitative? Well, if you have a favorite type of food, if it's chicken or spaghetti or pizza, those are things or items. So that would be qualitative. You see? So you might want to put qualitative right next to A if you want to write the examples down, okay? And then so for B, the number of points on a test. So let's say the class takes a test and you have, someone gets a 60, someone gets an 84, someone gets a 73, someone gets a 92. Well, the number of points on a test, that's being expressed in numbers, so that would be quantitative. And then for letter C, the screen size of televisions. Well, the way televisions are sold, it'll be like, oh, we got a 72-inch TV, we got a 56-inch TV, we got a 48-inch TV. So those inches are expressed in numbers, so that's also going to be qualitative. So those are a few examples of items that you'll see on your test. There will be A, B, and C. So let's say this one was, whoops, the first one was quantitative. The second one was qualitative, I put the L, and the third one was qualitative with the L, okay? So your answer choices on the test will all be multiple choice. So you'll have A, B, C, and D, and they'll be listed. It might say quantitative, qualitative, qualitative for A, then quantitative, quantitative, qualitative for B. And then whatever the combination is, you have to choose which combination was the right combination based on A, B, and C. Make sense? You don't have to write this part down, but if this was like A, and then B had another list and C had another list, you would choose A to be your answer because it's the one that matched the answers for the question. All right, so you would have A, B, C, D with a different mix. So that's what that question will look like. Okay, so the next part of our notes, the next question is about sampling. There's 3 types of sampling that we have spoken about in class. The first one is called stratified, which is a combination of both the next two, which are random and systemic. Well, random is when it's just totally random. You put a bunch of names in a box and you pull one. You go to the mall and you stand outside the food court doors, you know, at the mall where there's the food court and Sears and Fit to Go or Fit to Run. Let's say you stand outside the doors there, and when people walk out, you randomly just go up to them and ask them a survey. That's random. As opposed to systemic, when it says every nth, this is an N with a TH on it, nth, that means you would fill in the N with a number. So like every third, every fourth, every seventh person. So if you go to the mall and now you stand in the same place, but instead of randomly choosing people, if it was a systemic sampling, then you would say every fourth person that comes out the door, I'm going to survey them. So every time the fourth person comes out, that's the person you talk to next. And remember, stratified is a combination of the two. So on your test, the question will ask about a teacher who is going to be doing a field trip and selecting the 10 students to go on a field trip. I'm going to give the example of me having a breakfast and choosing 10 people to know if they want to have waffles or do they want to have pancakes. So I take a name from every student in the school, I put all the names in a big box, I shake up the box, and I pull out 10 names to survey them, do they want pancakes or waffles? Was that stratified? Was that random? Or was that systemic? Systematic. My bad.
Say that again.
So I want to do a survey of kids in school. Do they want waffles or pancakes? Because I'm going to have a breakfast. So I take everybody's name in the school, I put it in a big box, I shake it up, and I pull out 10 names.
Random?
It's going to be random, because it's totally random who got in there. It's kind of stratified because I only chose one population, but for our purpose here, it's going to be random sampling. I just randomly pulled out a couple people, and whatever they said were my answers. Does that make sense? Quanti, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, there's going to be another question about bias, and I don't have a note page for the bias. A bias is when you already have an idea about something, so your answers are going to be wrong because you're already thinking a way about it. So the question is going to talk about a city planner who wants to know about people's commute to work. How long is their commute to work? So if you live in the city, so here's the city, you don't have to write this down, and here's people driving to work or getting to work somehow from their homes. So we want to know how long is the commute on average for people to get to work in the city. But what I do is I go and I sample people who get off the bus. And I ask randomly people who get off the bus about their commute to work. Well, I would say that's a bias because does every single person ride the bus to get to work? No. Some people walk, some people ride bikes, some people take a train, some people drive, some people carpool. So I'm not going to get a good answer if I'm only asking the people who take the bus. You understand? So when you're answering a question about bias, you want to make sure that the answer, the sampling, let's say, is unbiased, that it covers the entire population that you're looking for. If it only covered the bus, it would not cover all the other people who get to work a different way. And you should be able to recognize those choices on your answer sheet. Okay? So moving on, I want to talk about our next thing, which is called a box and whisker plot. Alrighty. So you can write down box and whisker plot, and there will be 2 questions on box and whisker plot on your exam. Okay? We've learned about this in class, but I want to give a very fast review. The first thing you're going to do is order the data from least to greatest. So when you're given a set of numbers, the first question gives you a list of numbers. The second question is going to give you a table of values for salespeople. So in both cases, you would order your information from least to greatest, and then you have to find the median 3 times. That's what this 3x is in there, the median 3 times. And as a reminder, the median is the middle number. Let me get rid of that. Median is the middle number. So let me get this prepared for you. Boom, 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 boom. Just do it like that. You're going to do them in this order. So in this order, when you find that median 3 times, you're going to do Q2 first, then Q1, then Q3. Remember, the Q stands for quartile. So you want to do them in that order. I'm going to show you an example and what it looks like here. Here, I have already provided a list of numbers or values for you. Now, if you look at the list carefully, they're already in order from least to greatest. On your test, they're not going to be in order from least to greatest for you, so you have to remember to put them in order yourself. Now we have to find the median 3 times, but the first one is Q2, which is our real median of the whole set of data. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there's 9 numbers. So if I come in 4 and then over 4, I do have right smack in the middle the number 16. That's my Q2. Find that one first. The reason you find the middle number of all the data is because you find what would be the median. And now I have a left side and a right side. So it's now I split the data into 2 parts. Okay? That's why I have to find the median 3 times. Now that I found this one, which was the number 16, I have to find the median for this group. I personally like to underline each side so I know what I'm working with. Now there's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I come into, over 2, right in the middle number is my median for Q1. Well, it's 11 and 11. When you have an even number, you take right the middle, but it's the same number, so it's literally 11, okay? So Q1 is the number 11. So I found Q2, Q1, and Q3, you would do the same thing for this side. So there's 4 here, so I come over 2, and right here is exactly Q3. The only issue that I run into here is I have to find the middle of 20 and 23. So I have to find what is the exact center of 20 and 23. There's 2 ways to do that. The first one is you can find the mean or the average where you add them together and divide by 2. 20 plus 23 is 43. 43 divided by 2 is 21.5. I would do that in my calculator. Another way to do that in your head, because the numbers are close, is to say, well, from 20, if I go up 1, I get to 21. And 23, if I go down 1, I get to 22. And the center of 21 and 22 is 21.5. So that's 2 different ways to find those numbers. So I have a Q1, a Q2, and a Q3. Remember, we're working on box and whisker plots. The first thing we did was put the numbers in order. Now we got the 3 quartiles, or the 3 medians. Okay? The next thing we're looking at when we're doing this is we're going to go ahead and create a number line. All right? When I created my number line, I chose to go by threes, and let me tell you why. My lowest number is an 8 and my highest number is a 26. So I chose to create a number line that goes from 0 to 30. So 0, 3, 6, 9, blah, 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 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. But once you have a number line, we can start putting dots where we need to go once we found our quartiles, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to show you what the rest of this says. So here is how we actually go ahead and make our box and whisker plot. So it says here, plot the minimum and maximum numbers first. That is literally just look, what was my smallest number was an 8. So I'm going to put a point floating above the line where 8 would be. So if 9 is right here, I'm going to go backwards just a tad bit and put a floating dot above where I think 8 would be. That's my minimum. Now my maximum is 26. So I'm going to go where I think around about 26 would be. I go to 27, a little bit behind, and put a floating dot over where I think 26 would be. So now I have plotted my minimum and my maximum. There's 3 more dots I need to make. Those are the 3 dots of my Q1, Q2, and Q3. We found those to be 11, 16, and 21.5. So I'm going to make those dots at 11, floating above, 16, and 21.5. Every box and whisker plot should have 5 dots. Now this line is very messy that I wrote here. It says plot Q1, Q2, Q3 with a dot, a line, and a box. I know this looks like it's not even English or letters, but I swear it is. I'll write it a little bit nicer for you. With a dot, a line, and a box. All right, with a dot, a line, and a box. Here's what I need. So I like to say this. You know how the uppercase Q is a circle and it has a line through it? Well, that's how I help you to remember the ones that get a line through it. All your 3 Q's get a line through. So my Q1 for 11 gets a line through it like this. My Q2 for 16 gets a line through it like this, and my 21.5 gets a line through it like this. So they each have a dot and a line. Now when you connect those lines, you have created your box. This is the box portion of the box and whisker plot. Okay? So Q1, Q2, and Q3 make the box. The last part is to just draw whiskers. What that means, from the left of the box out to your minimum, you just make a straight line. And from the right of the box out to the maximum, you just make a line. So this is my box, and these are my whiskers. That's a box and whisker plot. On the exam, you're going to have 2 of these. So it'll give you a set of numbers, and it's going to give you A, B, C, and D. It'll give you 4 different box and whisker plots, and you have to select which one is the one that matches the numbers. And that's how you'll do that problem, okay? There's 2 of those, all right? One of them gives you the numbers like this in a row. The other one puts the numbers in a table. Like it might say Sue has 11, Joe has 8, Tom has 20, like this. These are your numbers. So you would just take those numbers out of the table and do the same order. Put them in order from least to greatest, find the medians, find the minimum and maximum, plot them on a number line. Got it? Great. I'm going to move forward. Okay. This may or may not be the last one we go through. We might get through 2 more. So on here, we have what's called frequency and cumulative frequency.